Hello and thanks for stopping by. This is TRAX for Windows 3.11, and I'm playing this one on a Windows 10 computer in DOSBox. I scored this particular game for 50 cents at a flea market, and I just can't pass up an offer like that. I knew nothing of this game going into it, although when I mentioned this title to my younger brother, he recognized it. Apparently, TRAX was originally some sort of a series of audio dramas, kind of like Choose Your Own Adventures, but for a CD player. There seem as though there have been at least two. There was also a Track of the Werewolf out there somewhere. Apparently, this particular franchise is now owned by Wizards of the Coast, and it looks like it might be free, or at least according to the webpage I found the information on, so who knows. Now this version is the video game version, and it was released in 1995, and it was developed by Ground Zero Productions. It is a cinema-based adventure game, like a Choose Your Own Adventure, but with video. To start, TRAX stands for Trace, Research, Analyze, and Exterminate. If you haven't picked up on it yet, this game has a remarkably 90s feel to it, no doubt. Now I am running this game on Windows 3.11 through DOSBox, and it does seem to work pretty well actually. This is a full motion video game, and honestly, it's not very game-like in how it operates. You're going to be watching digitized video, and it's going to be interspliced with this sort of computer face talking to you from time to time, just explaining what's happening. I think the biggest problem with this one is there's no interface when the game runs. It only has some brief instructions in the game every now and again for you to press A or B. And it's just you making one particular choice at a particular time in this video. When you choose A or B, the screen also doesn't tell you which one you actually pressed, so that's confusing. Also, I'm scrambling around the internet looking for keyboard controls to figure out what might be useful, and I can't find anything. I couldn't find any manual scans, and very little information on this series. Then I remembered this game was released in the 90s, and there was a CD case, and I had the cover for the CD case. I popped it open, and oh, there you go, that's the manual. There's really not much in it, but there is a command that's important. You press S to save your progress, and R to restore. This is super useful, but there is nothing on screen flashing to indicate you saved the game. There's no menu to open up to look at the saves you already have. You have nothing to tell you there is an actual save game, with the exception of you remembering that you pressed the S button. Okay, analyzing this one in a general way, it's weak in the portion of the game part of video game. You could make an argument that this is barely a game, or maybe even not a game, I don't know. But it's certainly interesting, and I did find it fascinating to play. The story is this. A 911 call comes in, and every now and again something unnatural happens. The 911 operators know to divert those types of cases to the TRAX team. You're basically in control of a system, according to the game. I mean, you press A and B, that's it. So how much of control do you actually have? Close to none. So basically you're supposed to be in control of the TRAX system, and you provide orders to the TRAX agent you're working with. In this game, there are two different storylines that you're basically following, and you're dealing with two agents. They're going off on two different hunts. One is hunting a vampire, and the other one is hunting this guy that shoots electricity. I find this strange because the cover of the game says vampire, not electric man, so I really thought this was going to be all about vampires. So the guy you work with on the TRAX team for the vampire portion is this awesome 90s male bravado show-off garbage. Things were so different back then. We're talking alpha dog, disgusting, kind of amazing. It's ridiculous. Now, the actor that plays this character was actually an American Gladiator back in the day. I remember watching that particular show in the late 80s, and it was something. So you're introduced to this guy, one of your team members, who, remember, this is an officer of some sort. Take a look at this. He doesn't dress like he actually works for the government in any capacity. And strange enough, he appears to be going shirtless at work. Have you ever seen this in an office anywhere? I'm not even talking about a type of personality where he's kind of mouthing off to a peer, or he's breaking the law by stealing information from a hospital at one point. We're talking serious HR moments here. Within the first few minutes of the game, it's kind of awesome. Basically, a phone call comes in, and something crazy happens. Here, it's a vampire. The 911 dispatcher routes a call to you. Your guy takes over, and you're just sort of giving this guy orders on how to proceed through the investigation. You go to an apartment. You're using a flashlight for some reason in this footage, instead of just turning on the lights to the apartment. I don't understand why, but here we are. And you run into a vampire. This dude jumps out the window, and you have an option to pursue or investigate the apartment. Now, while you're doing this, another call comes in that goes to another agent. Then you switch to that agent. Apparently, some woman had her eyes burned out by some creep that can control electricity. You send her to investigate that. So, the system actually switches you between these characters. You don't control who you switch to. It just goes back and forth. You just have to watch the video, hopefully press A or B. Like I said, it's a choose-your-own-adventure, and every now and again, options are put up in front of you. And they're always two remarkably broad orders. Like, you can investigate the apartment. You can chase the subject. We're talking really broad stuff. And honestly, by looking at the options, you can never tell what the right one would logically be, because there's no logic to it. You don't know what the right answer is until you've gone down that path. So, remember, there is a save and restore. You're going to have to use that a lot. Now, you do have a slight time constraint on when you need to press A and B. If you don't pick one fast enough, one is going to be picked for you. How long is that time? Who knows? There's no time meter on the screen. It's kind of random. It's not telling you hardly anything in this one. So this game is basically you watch a video, and you press A or B every now and again and watch more video. There really isn't much of a game here, really. It's just you going down a path and watching a movie. But the thing is, the digitized recordings give this sort of story that I actually like. I'd actually watch a show like this in a heartbeat. All this 90s cheese and everything, absolutely. Now, these actors aren't amazing, because it's not amazing writing, really, but this one seems put together pretty well overall. It actually feels like the TV show Cops. If you followed one or two cops, and they had to research vampires or stuff like that. I really like the way it looks. It's pretty fascinating. Now, there are some sort of minor jump scares every now and again. Like I said, I find the story really interesting. It seems like someone was actually trying to make a plot, which I appreciate. I mean, it's not long, but... granted, it's 90s sensibilities, but we're talking X-Files type stuff here, and in that regard, I think it really works. I mean, the attitude of the tough guy cop from the 90s is laughable, of course, but it seems to work okay in that context. And I mean, I guess besides this game having very few gameplay elements, it does feel short. That's important to mention. It's short. I know this is a CD-ROM and data space was limited for what you could actually record and digitize, but still, I think this is like maybe a half-hour footage? Not even. Maybe a half hour is going to finish this one for you. And that's if you make the right choices to get to the end and do everything. I'm betting that's maybe you pressing the A or B button maybe 10 times. Maybe. There are plenty of ways to fail in this one. You can get killed, or you can kill someone by accident. The A-B choices, like I said, they are not intuitive. They don't make sense. They're choices you can't possibly know what to choose. You just have to be trying your luck at this one, and then try to do it over again. This one makes me think of the game Night Trap, which, arguably, that is not a good game. But it's fun, and it has lots of footage in it. And there is a way to actually play that game as clunky as it is. This one has a tiny bit of footage compared to that one. And way fewer things to do here. You just press an A or B. I guess one thing that did stick out to me I thought was fascinating, there's a female actor in this one. This one of 3 women vampires, and they're running this dating website. I recognized the actress immediately. This woman had a recurring role on the TV show Friends. It was that actress that played the character of Susan. Recognized her, hands down it was her, and I verified it online, absolutely. I have to say overall, if you're interested in this one just by looking at my footage here, I think you would be better served just looking at a walkthrough online to see the footage. The ones that I see on YouTube clock in at about an hour, but that shows you the successful journey, which is like 25-30 minutes, and then it just tacks on all the extra footage for the other paths at the end of that video. That's probably the best way to look at this one, because tracking down a copy or even downloading it online, like I said, I think it might be free, but I don't know if I appreciated the effort I had to go through to get this one running in DOSBox, to understand how to run it, a 3.11 game in DOSBox, just to get this footage. You'd just be better off, I think, looking at the video online. But like I said before, I like the story, and I like the footage here. It's just way too short, and there isn't a lot of gaming in there. I could see myself liking this one more if this was a large series of similar video games. If there were 10 of these in a set, you could just pull out 10 half-hour episodes of some video game like this? That would be interesting. This one just makes me want more footage. I mean, yeah, the A and B stuff has nothing to do here. It's boring, but like I said, it's kind of an interesting look at what a 90s X-Files-ish type show would be like. I think it would make for a decent TV show. It really would. Well, that's all I have today for TRAX for Windows 3.11. I really wish there was more footage here. This would have been great as a bigger series. Thanks for stopping by to take a look at this one, and I'll catch you on another video.